All right, so it takes about 31 days for weed to cycle your system and to get out. Okay, so you smoked the blunt about 31 days ago, and now you want to go to driving school. How do you do it? Are you clean? What's going to happen if you're not clean? All of these are things we're going to talk about coming up right after this. All right, so let's get after it. So it takes about 30 days. I said 31 in the intro, but it takes about 30 days, 30, 31, whatever, for THC to get out of your system. All right, you already smoked the blunt about a month ago, and now you want to go to driving school. All right, so what happens if you get there and they say, hey, you know what? You tested positive on this urine test, so you got to go home. All right, well, first of all, first thing is first. If you are going to Prime or going to any driving school or to any driving company, all right, and you want to drive trucks, you need to be clean. I mean, it's the law. You can't drive dirty. All right, you just can't, because if you get popped at a scale house or weigh station or a DOT physical or whatever, on the side of the road, drug analysis, whatever, if you get caught and you're dirty, well, you can lose your license, and at the least, it could be several thousands of dollars just to try to get them back. And if you know what I know about what you have to go through these days to get your license, you don't want to lose them. All right, so don't even risk it. But let's take the worst case scenario. You smoked the blunt about a month ago, and you're supposed to be in Springfield, Missouri, where Prime is, to take another physical or just to do your paperwork. And don't forget, even though you might have already taken a physical, when you get there, there's a good chance you could be popped for random just because you're there. I mean, it doesn't mean that it'll happen, doesn't mean that it has or hasn't, but I know people who took a physical before they got there, and then when they got there, they had to take another one. Now, it wasn't a random or anything, but I had to take one because I was flagged for sleep apnea. So they wanted me to take another physical and all that stuff. But that's my point. You don't know what the reason is why you have to take another physical. You don't know if you'll have to get one or not. Okay, let's fast forward. So back to the situation at hand. You smoked the blunt about a month ago. Now you're at Prime and you want to get this job. All right. Well, you take the physical and they say, John Doe, you tested positive. You have 30 minutes to get off of our property. We don't care where you go. We don't care how you go. 30 minutes, you need to have your bags packed and outside that gate. Period. No questions asked. Now, this is what the security guy is going to tell you. All right, what I just said. He's also going to say, if you want to dispute it, that's your prerogative. You can go ahead and debate that if you want. I'm talking about the security guy at Prime is going to say, we're not going to debate it because we've already tested you. You tested positive. There's no discussion. So if you want to talk back and forth and go, have this debate about it, we're going to call the police, because at this point it's trespassing. They've already asked you to leave. So you have no recourse. You have no plan B. So here's the question, which is the reason for the video. What do you do if you get sent home unexpectedly? All right. You need to have, before you come here, you need to have whatever the cost is for a one-way ticket from Springfield, Missouri, back to wherever you live. You need to have that money set aside, either on a card, a credit card, a debit card, a prepaid card, in your shoe box, in your wife's pillowcase, under your girlfriend's bed, whatever. You need to make sure you have that money, because if you have to get put out over something that you did that's your fault, that they're not going to pay for your bus ticket home, you're going to be out on the street stuck like Chuck. All right, so be smart. If you think you smoked a blunt, or if you think you were doing drugs or doing some narcotics or whatever, make sure it's out of your system. Make damn good sure, make good sure that it's out of your system, and you're good to go, because You don't want to run into that. All right. So all I'm saying is, get your stuff in line. Make sure you have a backup plan to get home if you have to get home. Now, if you go, there's some situations where if you go to Prime and let's say they can't verify your employment. All right. Well, if they can't verify it in a timely manner or some other aspect of your application goes sour, depending on what it is, they'll get your bus ticket. They'll send you home. All right. But if it's something like a drug test that you tested positive on, that's on you. You know you tested positive. You know you did the drug, or whatever it is. You got to get your own way home. At that point, they don't care. You wasted their time and money. Why should they spend more money on you? All right. That's what I'm saying. Make sure you have your stuff together. All right. Make sure you're clean. Go to the store. Go to GNC. Do whatever you got to do. Test yourself. You can get your own physical done, or you can just wait a good 45, 60 days just to make sure everything is clean. All right. Now, another thing is, and I saw this happen to two people when I was in training. Their urine was diluted. All right. So whatever that meant, maybe they were trying to flush something or whatever it was, but it was diluted. So they had to take the physical again. Now, one of the girl, it was a girl and a guy. Both of them had diluted urine, but the girl figured, well, I guess she's going to flush it out, and she figured, well, it's been flushed out, everything is good, they're not going to test her again, so she's fine. So she got to Springfield, then ended up getting with somebody outside of Springfield, I guess like transient or whatever you call them, just kind of, somebody out and about, and she was smoking blunts with them. All right, so then she had to do another physical over some other garbage or something that was going on, and she tested positive. So she thought she was in the clear, but she wasn't. She tested positive, and they told her she had 30 minutes to get her bags and to get outside the gate. There's no discussion. At that point, it's trespassing. If she has the money to get home, she's good. If she doesn't, she might be another homeless one on the street. Another one bites the dust. Be prepared. All right. And the other thing I want to talk to you about is and I probably should do another video on this, but the ComData card. Excuse me. The ComData card is it's a MasterCard. It's a debit MasterCard that the company gives you, and they'll put money on the card for you. When you're in training, they'll put $200 on the card every week while you're in training. Not forever while you're in training, because I'm in my TNT phase, and I've been I'm finished with my first phase, my first PSD part of it. So while I was in PSD, which was a couple of weeks, they give you $200, but that $200 is not just given. They're going to provide you $200 on your ComData card for food or whatever you might need from Walmart, which is right around the corner, it's in walking distance, or whatever you need. But when this is all over and done with, you have to pay that $200 back because it's a loan. And what they're going to do is deduct $25 out every paycheck. And that'll happen probably after, I think it happened for me after you actually get your CDL. They'll start deducting $25 out each week, and until all the $200 payments that they gave you are paid. All right, and I think that's like probably 3 or 4 weeks of $200. Might be a little less, I'm not sure. So you don't have to worry about that. But if you got a little extra cash or something you can bring with you, it's always a good idea to bring it, just in case. The ComData card worked for me one day at Walmart, and then the next day when I went to Walmart, it didn't work. So I'm not sure what the deal was, what was going on, but what I tried to do is transfer money from the ComData card to my credit union. And I wanted the money transferred because I trust my credit union. I don't have issues with the credit union or with the card, but I was having problems with the ComData. So I didn't know it, but when I transferred the money from the ComData to my bank, it took 3 days for that transfer to happen, and that was because ComData took 2 to 3 days. I called my bank. I didn't, at the time I didn't know about it, so I called my bank and said, hey, I transferred some money, like a Friday or Monday or whatever day it was, and it's still not in my account. What's going on? They said, well, if you did it from their end, it takes 2 to 3 days, but if you just call us some kind of way, I don't know if it's every bank, but my bank is Navy Federal Credit Union. They told me that if I called them first, that they could actually pull the money from the card and it'll be applied to my bank account instantly. All right, and that's just like an emergency type thing if you want to, that's something you want to look into. But maybe your bank does it, maybe it doesn't. It's my bank is not Wells Fargo or SunTrust or anything like that. It's the credit union. I don't know if they do it differently or not, but that was kind of my deal. But anyway, I could probably go into that in more detail later on, but this segment wasn't about that. This video was supposed to be about what you're gonna do and how you're gonna get home if you test positive on, for example, a bad drug test, bad urine analysis. All right. So until later on, you know who this is. This is Mad Dog, and my new thing now is it's okay to make a beeline to the state line, but be smart and be safe and arrive alive. All right? Be good, and I'll talk to you later.